This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Hudson Main Stage Theater for the opening of Abducted The Show.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're with?
Abducted The Show.
Your name is?
Bill Reedman.
And could I have a brief bio of you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Musician and stand-up comedian. Brag about yourself, dude.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Okay.
You give.
He's a world traveler, and he's made his way to Hollywood. He's been a musician and a drummer for years, and toured around it with his band. And now he's trying his gifts out as a writer, and came to the place where the 13-year-old boy that was inside of him that had kept this secret of being abducted for years because the abductor said, if you tell anyone, I'll kill your family. Bill had to finally bring the story out, and bravely enough to put it out in front of an audience. But it's not as dark as it sounds, because he's got there's a beautiful lightness about this man, and I think that's the only way that we can sit in the theater with this, because it's really a terrifying event that happened. But by virtue of Bill being okay on stage, we know that he survived, that he's gotten through this, and it makes the whole thing palatable. Otherwise, you would just feel it's just too hard watching someone that's been through such a trauma. But the way he presents this with humor and with, I don't know, there's still an innocence within this adult man that was preserved somehow.
That's it. Yeah, I'm a traveler, and I'm a world traveler and a carpenter and a rafting guide. And so all that brings about the storytelling. And it was working on the river, and I figured if I could talk rich people into taking a dump in a 5-gallon bucket, I could probably come to Hollywood and try a few of these jokes out on some people. And so being here and working through that, I realized that, yeah, this show had to come out.
I've heard stories like that in which, all the time you listen to the news, you hear about people being abducted and all that. However, I don't think I've never met anyone who had actually really been abducted. So I'm very pleased to meet you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. It took me a couple decades. I questioned the whole thing. Did it even happen? I managed to bury it well and get on with my life. Who knows what I would have done or where I would have gone, but I don't have a car, I tell you that. I ride a motorcycle. I spent years living in a tent. I don't like locked doors, so some things were imprinted. But yeah, I spent decades just denying it to myself.
I was actually speaking to someone about denial. He actually grew up in a cult. And I asked him, after he left, are you a different person? And he said, I'm a totally different person. And I thought back to something I was told about raising child prodigies. You want to tell them basically that you're not a different person. You're the same person when you were a child and when you grew up. When you were a child, you're, say, a child who can play football. You hurt your knee, you're now an adult. Same person who can't play football. But you don't define yourself as a person who can play football. Does this moment in your life define you? Did it change you from the beginning or after?
It's hard to tell because I was at such a critical age anyway. Any teenager becomes, jaded and doesn't, respect authority. So who knows to what extreme. But when the very system that's supposed to protect you ends up taking advantage of people, it's really hard to have any real trust, any blind faith. From after that incident, I needed to see the proof. And it's hard just to believe in something because you're supposed to.
But I'm trying to understand who you are. Are you a man who was abducted, or are you a man?
I'm the 13-year-old boy that was on that stage in a 49-year-old man's body.
So my question is, what do you think, I wouldn't say what can make this thing go away. What would What would start the healing process? What would complete the healing process? What would make you a whole person?
That's a good question. Well, I guess I got to go back and I'm hoping this process right here. I want to grow as an artist and a performer, and God, what a great story to tell. And then, it's doing double duty, because personally, it's helping me get it out.
If some of my viewers came by and see this, what do you think that they can learn from this?
Well, they can learn that as humans, we do have basic needs. You want a roof over your head, you want people to comfort you, and you want to belong to a certain tribe. And there's those of us who, for what reason, never felt like we belonged in the tribe where we were raised. And we end up taking off and looking. And that's okay. And we can find comfort in each other. The most comforting words I've gotten have been from a conversation I had with a person that I'll never have again in my life, in my travels. So the things that we need to nurture ourselves are out there. They're just well hidden.
Have you tried things like, for example, have you ever tried religion?
I was raised around religion, and I saw its benefits around organized religion. My uncle was a Catholic priest, a Jesuit priest. It made me proud. We had our own masses, at Grandma's house, and I enjoyed the whole ritual, but when you're in a situation like that long enough, eventually you see some hypocrisy. And, can you get over it or not? And now with my experience as a child, when I glimpsed that hypocrisy, everything shuts down. I'm not willing to give anything a second chance,
Have you tried psychology?
Tried psychology, yeah. Yep.
Sociology, social workers?
Sociology as well. Yeah, I was raised by a sociologist, which kind of helped. I always respected different cultures and different ways of being. And just acknowledging how different they are kind of takes some of the pressure off of us. As you saw, in Hawaii, I felt more comfortable, and things that people told me made a heck of a lot more sense than the place where I was born and raised.
I believe all tragedy, there's some kind of silver lining, even something that's very bad. At least you can give something to the world, because no one else has had this before. What would you like to give to the world?
Yeah, that we can get through something and be okay. I'm a gentle person, and I went through something horrific, and it turned me into a gentle person. And I have raised my fists, you bet. But this situation made me choose peace and love. So I think that's possible.
Okay. Well, I've enjoyed our conversation. I enjoyed your little piece there, and I'm really glad I met you.
Great.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Abducted, the show, will be playing at the Hudson Main Stage Theater from April 21st to May 19th. For more information, go to www.facebook.com/abductedtheshow.